The first time I went out my house with my natural hair, I was so nervous. I was like, what are people gonna say? Oh my God. And then I realized I had a very unhealthy relationship with weed.
And that's the
most to the point where I literally felt like how am I ashamed of what naturally grows out of my head? Like, I don't feel like me unless I put on a wig or somebody else's hair.
Yo, what's up, YouTube? My name is Chisha Zed. I am back in here with another episode of Chisha Zed and Friends. Today, I've got two familiar guests here with me. They have been here before on previous episodes. So before we get into it, guys, I'm just going to allow the guests to introduce themselves, starting with Felicie. Go ahead.
Hey you guys, it's Felicie from By Felicie. I'm a YouTube content creator. My YouTube channel mainly focuses on like femininity and, just how to be a better woman and dating life after 30 and, things like that.
Cool.
I'm Keisha Ariel. I'm a natural hair content creator on YouTube, and I obviously speak about natural hair, but I more so focus on locks, hair growth, and hair maintenance. So if you want to know anything about, maintaining locks or your natural hair or hair growth, then you definitely need to go ahead and check out my channel.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Good to have you both back on another episode. Today, we're going to be talking about hair, specifically weave versus natural hair. The title is What Men Like.
Okay.
We know this is a kind of sensitive topic when we talk to our sisters about this, man. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So what I, of course, want to do is give everybody an equal platform to speak their opinion, maybe based on experience, right? And I also want to represent what I recently did, which was a poll where I asked men what they prefer, right? I did a poll on my community on my YouTube page, and I asked them, when it comes to hair, would you rather your woman wear her hair natural? That was the first option, natural/braids. Number 2 was wigs/weaves. Number 3, bald or, show short, kind of like buzz cut. 4 was bonnet at all times, especially in public. Yeah, you know I had to have that one in there. You know what I mean? That seems
at all times, especially in public.
Yeah, that seems to be a real option for women these days. And number 5 is I don't give an F. You know what I mean? And the results were it wasn't very surprising, to be honest. I've done other polls before that I've kind of been surprised at the way men have voted. 4K people decided to answer. 90% said they prefer natural hair. The rest were 1%, and the only one that was 7% were guys who really didn't care, right? My personal stance on this specific topic is I find myself a lot of times not in extremes when it comes to outer appearance. That's just my own personal preference, right? As in, I don't really mind a woman who doesn't always have her natural hair, but if you left it up to me, my woman, right, would have her natural hair all the time. That's what I like. Now, when a woman wears like some type of like weave, all I get annoyed about is when it looks crazy. Crazy colors, excessive amounts. And I don't know if this is personally because I've seen people do the weave thing and they haven't gone too far. But again, I don't have very strong feelings about this. But it's obvious that the majority of men prefer women with natural hair, making my opinion really not matter, right? At the end of the day. Here's my question. My first question for you guys is, why is it that men, black men in specific, obviously prefer women to keep and rock their natural hair, right? But we see a lot of sisters today who don't do it. And I want to start with Felicie.
Um, why do men prefer it?
Why is it that the majority of men, when you ask them, prefer women to rock their natural hair, right? But when you bring this conversation up and you ask black women, like, hey, you know, this is what we like, it's very obvious. Number one, it's a sensitive subject, but why is there pushback on that? Why can't they just rock their natural hair?
Okay, well, in my opinion, it's just because we have been told what to do with our hair for so long. Either we can't show it, they tell us we can't wear braids, they tell us, you know, when we go to job interviews, your hair is unprofessional, you have to wear it straight or, you know, in a more natural, Eurocentric way. They tell, like, if we're going to school, they tell us, oh, we can't wear our dreadlocks. They tell us we can't wear our afros. There's been plenty of times in articles where girls, and even, like, I remember this little boy, he had dreads and they cut his hair. Or he got pulled out of the school because his parents would not, you know, cut his hair. And it's like, we have been told what to do for so long with our hair. Told that our hair is unkempt or it's not appropriate or just looks nappy. Even from our brothers, like our guys, our black men saying, oh, your hair is all nappy, you nappy headed, whatever. We just at this point are just like, you know what? We don't care what you guys have to say about our hair. We're going to do what we have to do to take care of our hair. So whether it be in protective styles like braids, or if it's in a in a weave, that's still a protective hairstyle. A wig, that's still a protective hairstyle because our hair is braided and protected underneath. At this point, because we are embracing our natural hair, but we just want to maintain it and protect it, we really don't care what you guys want from our hair because you guys are not the ones dealing with it. You guys are not the ones having to sit there every day or every 2 days for 3-4 hours a day, rebraiding, oiling, greasing, washing, co-washing, maintaining the hair. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Got you. Here's my next question, right? You said right there, and Keisha, we're going to get to you next. You said, we don't care what you think because you are not the one that has to maintain the hair, right? If you're a black woman and your goal is to, let's say, attract black men, right? Black men on the market, as in they tell you, hey, we like this from our women. Men kind of, you know, make that last decision to decide who they pursue. I feel like hair is one of those things that women should be more open to, right? You should care what men say about your hair at the end of the day. Why? Because that's something that men find attractive. When you say they've told us to not do this and not do that and not have her hair like this, who's they?
Our men, schools, job interviews, white people.
So the majority,
everyone has told us.
Wait, sorry, can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Keisha.
Sorry, because obviously, you know, I'm in the United Kingdom.
Before you add on to this conversation, Keisha, I want you to answer the same question I asked Felici first. Why black women don't want to rock their natural hair when that's what men prefer?
To be honest, listening to Felici, it's funny because I wasn't looking at it from that standpoint that she gave, which is also valid because, you know, you do hear, you know, our own people talk about our nappy hair, your hair is like this or your hair is like that, etc. And that can make someone, you know, go to what is acceptable as such. But when you had mentioned that, like in job interviews and stuff like that, are people actually really saying that to you guys in job interviews in the United States? Because I'm in the UK, I've never, you know, heard anyone or anybody speak on, you know, at the job, like, oh, your hair is XYZ, like, can you make your hair a bit better or whatnot? Like, my hair type is four type hair. You know, some people may think I'm mixed race. I'm not mixed at all, full black. So I have the same hair texture as the everyday black person, right?
4C hair?
Four type hair, yeah. So I'm in the four section. I don't know if it's for A, B, or C. It's one of the four types,
and
right?
just to touch on a comment you made there, right? And one thing I realize a lot of our women do is they'll say something like, for example, Felicia, you said, oh, you know, we'll go to jobs and they don't want us to keep the hair that we have. Has that happened to you personally, Felicia? Honestly?
I wouldn't say it happened to me personally, because I've been lucky enough to be in situations where there's a bigger Black population, so it's more acceptable. But
and I think that's the majority's experience. What do I mean, right? We hear these isolated incidences, and then Black women as a whole, right? They have that sisterhood mentality of, oh, if you say it to one of us, you're saying it to all of us. And that's not simply the case.
Well,
right?
In New York, I know that they had to actually pass a law which says that you can't discriminate against people with natural hair. So
I know it's with locks in particular, but not your natural hair. That, because if you really think about it, our natural hair it's not crazy. If we literally just pull it back or put it in braids, whether you put it in like Marley twist or a single knotless braids, or you just braid your natural hair in plaits or straight back cane rolls or whatever, our hair can look presentable. So I don't know, like, but because I don't understand, like, unless
let her finish, and then after you can address her, Felicia.
I mean, the only time our hair look crazy is if, you know, you have your hair in an afro and you don't cover your hair at night, and you wake up, you see this side flat and this side looking all crazy. That's the only time our hair look crazy. So I know none of us are stepping out of the house with our hair looking like that, because it's going to kind of look like, what the heck's going on? Did you not, you know, have time to do your hair? Like, nobody steps out of the house like that. So to hear people say that, you know, when they go to job interviews, they're getting pushback on their natural hair, it's like, well, how are you going to work? What is your hair looking like? Mm-hmm. You know, like, we always want to make sure our hair looks nice. The only time I've ever heard people have issue with our natural hair is locks, right? And for me, when I started my lock journey, once I left work, it was a personal thing. I was going through postpartum hair loss, and I didn't even know what it was. I thought it was traction alopecia. So I thought, you know what, let me just lock my hair and give my hair a break. So I wouldn't know the experience for people who have locks when they go to work. But I have heard people who have locks have that experience with their natural hair. But if our hair is like loose natural, I don't understand why anybody would have an issue with our hair if we keep our hair neat.
And Felicia, you had a point you wanted to make?
Oh, no, go ahead. It's okay.
And I wanted to say, when it comes to the locks thing, men rock locks as well within the Black community, right? And my main point here is women will usually, number one, say, you know, everybody tells us what to do with their hair. I don't think that's a personal experience for in general, right? For the average Black woman. The average Black woman does not go to work and have people tell her, hey, don't come here with that hairstyle. No, that's an extreme, usually scenario that a lot of Black women latch onto. And I think the other thing that was mentioned there, Felicia, was the work that goes into keeping your hair natural. I hear this a lot, right? When I have this conversation, is a lot of Black women say, oh, it's a lot of work. Is it that difficult, right? Is that an excuse that's because from my experience, people kept their natural hair in the past, but as time has progressed, a lot of women today, they don't want to deal with their natural hair and they want to keep the weave. 90% of men prefer you to have natural hair. I think saying it's too hard to maintain is just an excuse. What do you think, Chisha, as a natural hair enthusiast?
To be honest, maintaining your natural four-type hair, it is a lot of work because of the coils or the curls, the pattern that your hair is, especially if it's four-type. You know, like I said, I have four-type hair, and sometimes I'm just like, I can't be bothered with combing my hair. But it is not that hard. I personally don't think it is that hard. Like, because at the end of the day, if you're going to get a weave, you're going to get a wig, you still have to deal with your natural hair underneath that to lay it so that you can apply your weave or your wig, whatever, on top. So if you're taking the time to do your natural hair underneath, You can still maintain your natural hair and wear it in any other particular style. And also, Felicia had mentioned that, women don't care what men think because they're not dealing with what they have to go outward, out in the world. And it's like, no, you have to care what they think. If they want your hair like this, rock your hair like this. But I think there could be, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think there could be some confusion, though, because like I said, what Felice did mention earlier, where some, of our own people, including men, will be like, oh, you're nappy-headed this, or you're nappy-headed that, or whatever. We get confused sometimes because as much as men will say they like our hair natural, they also then would say they want us to have straight hair, right? And I remember listening to a content creator and she had mentioned that, yes, men like straight hair. And I thought, really? But if you like our hair natural, why you want it straight when our natural hair is not straight? So do you guys really like our natural hair in its natural state? Because if you do, why are you going to call us nappy-headed this or nappy-headed that to make us feel insecure about it?
And I have
go ahead, Felicia. Go ahead.
I have actually witnessed Black men actually saying that to a Black girl, like, "Oh, you nappy-headed, something, whatever. That's okay." Like, "Oh, your hair is short. Your hair is not like the 3 type curly coils versus versus our like more kinky, natural. You can't really run your fingers through it type of hair." I've actually witnessed our Black men have saying this to some women. So they get like, we're going to get a little self-conscious about it and be like, okay, well, let me just throw this weave on, yes, I'm going to still protect my hair underneath, but I'm going to do this because apparently they don't like what is actually growing out of my head.
Let's get away from extremes here, right? Here's what I want us to do. Again, we always hear these stories about Black men out here, who disrespect Black women's hair. Okay, we hear Black women who disrespect Black men and call them dusties. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you're honestly telling me the average Black man, the majority, they think that way and call Black women this?
I can't speak for the majority.
No. I can't. I wouldn't say that.
Of course, you can make an intelligent assessment based on your own personal experience dealing with Black men. Have the majority of Black men you've come in contact with dissed your natural hair?
They personally didn't care what I had on because I go between all types of hairstyles.
So they didn't diss it, right?
Not majority.
And that's why I'm saying we have to be careful when we say these things. Yes, there will be men out there who will say that stuff to you, but don't base your decisions based on a small group of people. At the end of the day, there'll always be people who are going to sit there and make fun of your hair. Number one, Chisha, I want a direct answer from you. Are you as a natural enthusiast, right? Do you think that that's an excuse when it comes to like, oh, it's just too difficult to maintain? Is it that hard?
I think it's an excuse.
Okay.
It's not that hard. It's not that hard because, all you have to do is just wash your hair weekly, every 2 weeks, or however you choose to wash it, depending on what's going on your scalp. It's not that hard. It's just that you have to dedicate some time with our hair because obviously the curls are much tighter, right? And if you pull a little bit too hard over here, it's going to hurt, okay? So you would just have to be a little bit more gentle with our hair. And like I said, if you're already going to be doing your hair to get the weave on top, you're already dedicating time to your natural hair. So was it that hard for you to do it? Or if it's that hard, put it in a protective style, like, what me and Felice is rocking right now.
Because I know braids are protective style, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But are you talking about like more of the no protective style? Because I've heard where it's just like, oh, what are you protecting if you're not actually going to show your hair? I
remember, I think I said that to you at one point, right? And that was going to be my next question. Like a lot of Black women keep their styles in protective style. My question is, well, why are you keeping this in protective style if you never rock the actual real hair? right?
Right.
I'm going to let Chisha take over that one.
You gonna throw it on me, girl.
I mean, you're the natural hair.
Let me say this. Let me finish. Usually, well, I'm telling you, I've dated a lot of women who go kind of either way. Let me say this. I've dated a lot of women with different types of hairstyles. Like I said, I'm not a huge stickler, but at the end of the day, the majority of men prefer natural. With the majority of women I have dated, though, they rock weave, right? Pretty often. Or they'll have the protective style, the braids, right? Or you don't even see cornrows much anymore, right? But that's a cool natural style in itself. But what I'm saying is the only time you see that natural hair, you see it breathe, you can actually see it, is when they're trying to transition to another style, right?
To another hairstyle.
Exactly. It would be like 2 days or some shit, and you'd be like, oh, man, that's your hair? Okay. Next thing you know, boom, it's gone, you know? And so, my whole thing is like, if you're protecting it, like, when do we get to see this shit? You know, when's the final product coming?
So, you know what? Let me go on. Sorry,
let me just mention something. So, in my personal experience, I have higher porosity hair, so my hair gets dry very easily. I've been natural since I cut my hair back in 2015, and I've been growing my natural hair ever since. My hair can't go past a certain length because as soon as it starts to grow, it breaks off. And from my experience, wearing my hair in braids or wearing it in some kind of protective style, I don't really do wigs because I just personally don't like it. But wearing my hair in braids, let's talk braids. That is what protects my hair. It keeps it from breaking. I can maintain it a little bit better when it's in braids because I can oil it and grease it a lot more. And then when I take it out, I understand how to take my braids down. And so the reason why I prefer to keep my hair in braids, this protective style, is because I can maintain it a little bit better. When I take the braids out, I'll keep my hair, I'll let it breathe for like 3 weeks. But by the 3rd week, my hair has become so brittle and dry, I will, even though I'm greasing it and, maintaining it every 2-3 days, I'll go like this and I have like clumps in my hand. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm putting it away. So that's my personal experience with the reason why I've decided to mainly keep my hair in protective hairstyles.
What I would say in regards to that as to why you're probably experiencing a lot of shedding shedding because it's still your hair breaking off. Do you have a moisturizing routine that you're maintaining?
I do.
And how often are you doing that?
I usually do it So every night I will retwist it with like some water, leave-in conditioner, and some kind of,
you do this every night? When your hair is in its natural state, not in a protective style?
I want to say like maybe every 2 to 3 nights. I'll put like a bonnet satin cap on, sleep with that if I don't retwist it. And then I'll retwist it maybe like every 2 to okay, I'll be honest, like 3 to 4 times, like every the 3rd or 4th night, I'll go ahead and retwist it.
So, and are you doing your moisturizing routine where you're wetting your hair and then you're applying? Yes. Do you put a butter on your hair as well? Because that's the thing.
I actually make my own butter.
Okay, and how recent have you been doing this particular routine?
I want to say the last 2 years.
And your hair isn't seeming like it's growing any longer and it's still breaking off? Do you put heat on your hair?
Very rarely, because most of the times my hair is in braids or it's in it's like a sew-in.
In the past 2 years, has it been mostly braids or sew-ins that you've been wearing?
Yes.
See, now that also could be an issue as well if you're wearing too much protective style in terms of constantly keeping your hair in braids. Because if you are keeping your hair in braids, most women want their braids for about 4 to 6 weeks, probably 8 weeks sometimes, right? So imagine your hair strands being trapped under this for so long. You might be greasing your scalp and, it's flourishing hair, but then it's breaking off down these ends. It's because your hair is not getting the moisture that it needs. Now,
I do go.
Go on.
I'm sorry. I do go like a couple weeks without putting in a protective style. Then I'll put it back in.
Couple weeks, but if you think about, if you got your braids in for about 2 months, say the max 8 weeks, right? And then you only rock your natural hair out for about a week, and then you put braids in again, your hair isn't really breathing.
No, absolutely.
Right? So when you keep doing this, your hair isn't really getting the moisture that it needs, etc. Now with me, I don't wear protective styles like this very often, even though when I go to doing my hair, this is what I'll come back to. But I only just put these in about a couple of days ago because me and my husband had our anniversary on the weekend, and I asked him how he wanted me to do my hair, and he says he likes it when I do it like this. So I just threw these in. So, you know, when I'm not wearing this, my hair is in its natural state all the time. My 4 type hair, walking around the house, etc. You know, so, you know, with me having a routine where I maintain like my moisture, because I used to experience that when my hair is breaking, it doesn't seem like it's growing. But I started realizing that when I do my moisturizing routine twice a week, I noticed that my hair ain't breaking, my scalp is healthy, and all of that. So I would say, instead of like giving your hair just a little break from protective styles and then throw another protective style in, it's not really giving your hair the chance to thrive and breathe and flourish. And I also wanted to go back to a point that you had said in the first part of when, you know, Chisha asked you the question about, you know, how men feel about our hair. And you said, you know, we shouldn't really, not we shouldn't, but, you know, we don't really care. You know, I believe we should care, because if that's what the man wants, you have to account, especially if it's your boyfriend, your husband, you know, because my husband, to be honest, because that's, Chisha said something and I was laughing because that used to be me, where you would not, if I took my braids out or my weave out, you're only going to see my natural hair for 2 days and it's going back in, right? So I used to be that girl. And it was my husband, when I met him, he actually encouraged me. He said he preferred me to rock my natural hair. And I was like, really? And then I started rocking my natural hair, and I have been rocking my natural hair since 2015, outside of like putting in braids, but I haven't worn a wig or a weave ever since. You know, so if my husband like that, or the man that you're trying to attract like that, then you should definitely rock your hair according to how they want it, instead of, oh, I'm going to throw the weave in or whatnot. We have to cater to them.
Listening to this right now and just the interaction that both of you just had right there, I think what I'm probably kind of noticing here is there's probably, because so many women have been led through either the media, right, their own personal stubbornness. And let's be honest, the black women we see on television, when we look at the women on there, like the Nicki Minaj's, you know, these women, like black women grow up idolizing. These women are rocking these long weaves, you know what I mean, that come to the bottom of their ass or whatever like that. Yeah, the floor, right? And a lot of the time, women have neglected this practice of like maintaining their natural hair, and it only makes sense that what I'm probably assuming is that there's a lack of knowledge a lot of the times, and the motivation to go learn and get it done is just not there. Because at the end of the day, women have this mindset of like, why should they care, right? Why are black men telling me this? Why are black men telling me this? It's not that black men are telling you anything. You can do what you want. But at the end of the day, if you want to attract black men, right? If you want to add that extra cherry on top, because, you know, at the end of the day, I don't think a man would say, I won't marry you because of your hair. No. But if you want to be, for example, here in the States, where 1 in 4 women are getting married, why not think about that and say, hey, this is something that I can do to improve myself. You know, as a man, I know we don't really have a lot of like physical requirements, but we're not women,
Y'all
right?
have physical. Oh wait, for women. Okay,
yes,
sorry.
yes. You know what I mean? We're not women. I was saying a lot of women, you know, they'll look at it and be like, you know, we don't tell you men what to do. But listen, there's a difference here, and a lot of women don't realize that men are more visual. Men care way more about your physical appearance a lot of times than a women will usually care about a man's physical appearance. It's just the way it is. We appreciate a woman's beauty, right? That is the gift, one of the gifts that a woman presents herself, along with the feminine, nurturing aspects, you know what I mean? Being pleasant, being a helpmate, those other things, being physically appealing to your man, that's something a woman should strive for. I want to move the conversation away from what we're talking about right now and move into this, specifically weaves and wigs. I remember when I was younger, my mom used to rock those wigs like no other, right? All the time. I don't remember why she used to do that. I think a lot of
still does.
A lot of black moms do that, you know. And I try to think, where did that come from, man? I used to like put it on my head sometimes and run around the house when I was young. You know what I mean? Mess around with those wigs when I was young. I was a crazy kid.
So, but, I know in my culture, anyways, the men of that time, I can from my experience, I can say that they preferred when you had like a relaxer, or if your hair was, just straighter and more straight, easier to maintain or manage type of way. So once my mom got older and she decided to go natural, it was a little bit harder for her to maintain her natural hair, just because she works all the time. She's taking care of my grandmother. So, and my dad would sometimes just be like, why are you wearing your hair like that? Why are you wearing your hair like that? So she'll throw on a wig. And so from my background, from what I was raised seeing, men didn't like the natural hair. If you wore it, it was just like, why do you have your hair like that? Even it maintained. They're just like,
I think I've witnessed that myself.
Mm-hmm. Why do you have your hair like that? Why don't you get
now? Are you both saying this is the? Are you saying this is the older generation?
From
you know
my
what?
Experience, yes. Even
what?
Now.
I have seen that in our generation, like when I used to work in the bank. One of my friends, she's married. We all work together. She met her husband at work, etc. And I remember him saying we were talking about natural hair and stuff like that. And he was like, no, he does not like our natural hair. And he was literally dissing, and this is a black guy too. He was dissing our hair. And he's like, no, I like it when she relaxes her hair, and I like it when her hair is straight. And I'm just like, wow. So you do have some men of our generation and the older generation that would say that, but also have some that
a small minority.
From in Florida, Miami, my culture, no. Mostly every little girl, grown adult, they had all of these natural hair, relaxed hair. And that was how they wanted you to keep your hair.
So you're telling me in Florida, men prefer women, the black men there prefer women with unnatural hair.
When I was,
I think it is.
I think it's changed a little bit more now. It's a little bit more acceptable to have the natural hair, or whatever the case may be. But when I was growing up, back in my time, it was more preferred, and it was more acceptable to have straight hair, because in America, having nappy hair or having natural hair was not the move. You needed to hot comb it all the time. You had to, relax it. And that's where like the whole Madam C.J. Walker came from, all the relaxers, all this, because they wanted you to have more of a Eurocentric look. They did not want you to have your African look. So of course it trickled down until we started embracing more of our natural hair. So now it's a lot more acceptable to have that. But for a long
let me present,
it wasn't like that.
Let me present a different perspective, right? What I believe is now men are speaking out. Men have a platform, and specifically black men, to speak out on this type of stuff. Before YouTube and what we have now, there was no platform where black men could get on here and make these type of comments without getting like a channel demonetized because you're, hating on black women. I think recently men have just found their voice, and now people are actually listening to black men in specific within the community and asking them, hey, what do you guys actually think about this? 90% are like, oh, you know what? We actually like the natural hair. Especially the ones that fall.
I think it's more current, personally.
But the thing is, my question is this: if men are saying that they really like our hair natural, why are we not seeing more men with women with natural hair? Why are they have their women wearing the weaves and the wigs and all of that? If that's what they want. Why are they dating? Why are they dating?
That's a good question. It's a good question.
I kind of feel like it's a bit of cap. I feel like it's a little bit of cap.
It's a good question, but the problem is it's more complex than that, right? Yes, again, natural hair is kind of something that men prefer, right?
Yeah.
But before that, we're looking for a feminine, submissive, nurturing, cooperative woman.
Got a question.
And so let me finish. That's what we're looking for first. Of course, that natural hair thing, that's like a huge bonus if you're a woman who embraces that, right? Why aren't we seeing more men going after women with natural hair? Because there aren't none. Majority of women today do not embrace. And when I say they aren't none, listen. Again, follow my words. Follow my words here.
Okay, let me follow.
The majority of women today do not embrace their natural hair. That's why.
Okay, I think I can agree with that.
That's
why. I can agree with that. Listen, Felicie, why? No,
Felicie thinks the majority of women today do embrace their natural hair. Felicie, do you believe that?
The reason why I do is because
Come on now.
All of my black friends.
Come on now.
All of
this is not the no cap show, but I'm about to call it that.
I'm not capping right now. All of my friends, all of my black friends, all of the black girls that I know, my sister, my cousins, my friends back home in Florida, my friends even out here in California, they all have natural hair.
Are they wearing their natural hair out? Are they wearing their natural hair out? Not on the wigs.
All the time? No. Do they wear wigs? Not all the time. I don't. Let me see.
Majority of the time, are they rocking their natural hair?
Let me think about it. If I were to think about all of them, most of them are wearing their natural hair, or they'll wear some kind of protective style, whether it's braids.
But which are they wearing the most? The natural hair in its natural state, or protective style, or is it equally balanced?
We know what the answer is.
From the women that I know, it's a mix in between. But there are some of them that are only strictly wearing their natural hair, like my cousin, my sister. She has sister locks. One of my friends back home, she's growing her natural hair out, so she only really wears her hair natural. I have another.
So
friend.
Felicie, you're able to make a decision based on the women that you encounter outside of just your immediate friend group, right? Again, let me ask you this: do you think the majority of black women today are rocking their natural hair? This is not a hard question.
Outside of your friend group.
Outside of my friend group. Not so much.
Okay.
Not so much. But
and so going
personal experience.
Yeah, we have to look bigger than that, right? Because of course I can't just come on here and just defend women, and I can't just come on here and say, hey, I don't really mind if you wear a weave that's kind of tamed. But majority of men at the end of the day prefer natural hair. If you ask me what I would want consistently, it would be natural. So going back to my original statement, right? As to why you don't see these black men with women who are wearing natural hair, there's not a lot of them around here. There's just not a lot of them around here doing it. I can count probably on one hand the amount of women I've dated who've actually rocked their natural hair at the end of the day.
I want to ask a question regarding this, right? You know how you mentioned that men first are looking for feminine, cooperative, friendly, and all of these things. Okay, we know that's what men go for as first, right? But when it comes to physicalities now, they wouldn't go for a big Shirley, would they? They would want to make sure she ain't a big Shirley. So why don't they go and say, you know what, why don't she have natural hair? Like, not being fit, and making sure you have your natural hair. Why can't those be on top of, if that's what they really say they want? Just like how you would not go out there and say, oh, you know what, she's a beast, but she is feminine, friendly, cooperative, I'm gonna go with her. You're not gonna do that. So if you wouldn't go with an obese woman like that, why don't you make being with a woman the criteria that majority of the time you rock your natural hair? Because like I said, I rock my natural hair most of the times, and then when it's special occasions, you know, I will throw in some braids because I want to switch it up a little bit. You know, I want to look good for my husband. That's what he likes.
Here's why
if he wants me to change it up.
Here's why I said it like that, right? Here's why I said because the number one things are those feminine and nurturing qualities. That's the woman he's with. At the end of the day, men will still...
first you said that's what they go for first. That's what you had said. So I'm like, in that criteria...
In the context of why don't we see them with these women, in that context of why don't we see them with these women, as in they're consistently dating these women, right? They're in relationships with these women. A man will smash a girl with the weave on. Fast, not slow. Fast, not slow. He will have sex with her. You know what I mean? Some men will have sex with Big Shirley. At the end of the day, we're talking about two different things there. I'm talking about relationships. Relationships, right? When it comes to relationships, now that's when those like other things come into play. You know what I mean? Being feminine, being submissive, being nurturing, and also like the natural hair. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I said like we don't see as much of them actually dating those women, like in relationships with them.
So I think a lot of women over here in the States, they have a lot of insecurities about their hair. And because we are not normally used to seeing Black men with women of natural hair in their natural hair, I guess, journey.
In their natural state.
In their natural state, I feel, okay, let's not say I feel. I believe that we might believe that we can attract a man a little bit better if we have a different type of hair pattern, whether it's a weave or braids or something like that. That's in the States how I kind of see it. But then once you get into that relationship with that person, you feel a little bit more comfortable to show your insecurities where it's your natural hair. So like personally for me, before I embraced my natural hair, I would have braids in my hair most of the time, or I'd have a weave. And then it wasn't until like I had a couple of friends that were not Black say, they were just like, your hair is so pretty. Why don't you wear your natural hair out? And I was just like, if this is coming from somebody who isn't my race, what do the men in my race actually really think? And so I started wearing my hair out natural, and I was just like, oh wow, okay, I'm still getting attention from men of my race with my natural hair. Let me embrace it a little bit more. So I think a lot of women are insecure about their natural hair, so they won't wear it until they're comfortable with the person that they are dating to be able to show that to them.
And you know what, I really want to touch on that. And you said something really, really true that reminded me of when I used to wear wear weaves and wigs always, right? I was insecure about my natural hair. I was really insecure, and I would not want anybody to see me with my natural hair. And like I mentioned, it was my husband who encouraged me to start wearing my natural hair. And when I did, the first time I went out my house with my natural hair, I was so nervous. I was like, what are people going to say? Oh my God. And then I realized I had a very unhealthy relationship with weaves.
And that's to
the point where I literally felt like how am I ashamed of what naturally grows out of my head? Like, I don't feel like me unless I put on a wig or somebody else's hair. Like,
culture
and then
made us that way.
Yeah, and that you know, I have to, you know, give you know, recognition, props to my husband for encouraging me to do it, because of him, he helped me to embrace my natural hair. And he actually likes my natural hair. He always talk about how soft my natural hair is. Like, oh, your hair feels so soft. And I have 4 type hair. You know, it's not no 3B or 2A or whatever. My hair is a 4 type hair. And my husband encouraged me to embrace my natural hair. And I've been rocking my natural hair since 2015, whether it was in locks or loose natural since then. So we can have a really unhealthy addiction to weaves and wigs, because I was one of them girls who, like you mentioned, you only would see my hair in the transition period of, oh, I just took this out, I'm gonna wash it and put braids back in, or cane rows back in, and then put that weave back in. You know, so it can be quite unhealthy, and it could be the fact, like the example you gave about the older generation saying that, you know, why are you wearing your hair like this? When I was younger, I've never seen, none of the women in my family had, I mean, I had a natural hair, but it was relaxed. So I was always seeing straight hair. Credit
to you guys right now. I want to acknowledge that I agree with this statement you just made, and the both of you, right? I remember my own sister getting relaxer stuff in her hair. I don't know what it's called, but her hair would they would put some shit in her hair and like burn or whatever. And
they would never go back.
They had that just like me box on there. I remember the girl on there, just for me, you know. Yeah, the girl there smiling with the hair fucked up. But yeah, I remember seeing that. I remember her like running around, and I'd be like, why are they always putting that shit in her hair, man? She's always like complaining that it's burning her. My mom's there like, you know what I mean? Looking crazy. My mom's rocking the wigs. So I do want to acknowledge the fact that I don't think prior generations, and these were our women's job, right? We want to blame the men of the prior generations, but the women are supposed to step up. Even now, and say, hey, you know
what did you say? The women were trying to impress the men back then by rocking it straight because that's what they wanted?
That's what they wanted. Because at that time, I feel like because the Eurocentric features were so prevalent back in, you know, after slavery in the 60s and progressing up until now, men probably preferred when I can't speak for that time because I wasn't there, but they probably preferred women with straighter hair.
No.
And then
no, they didn't. They didn't. They didn't. Men, and I don't want to use my own personal father as an example, but for example, my dad, you know, he's like me. He didn't make a big deal out of it. You know, my mom would rock the wigs. He didn't say much, but when she went natural,
let's talk about here in the States. Though.
When she went natural, he was like, hey, I really like your hair natural. Men have always, I believe, always preferred natural hair. Now we're speaking out because the shit's gone too far, right? Let me say this.
I'm gonna have to disagree with that one. I think that back in the days they would have preferred straighter hair because the white features and straight hair is what was considered beautiful back in that's not true.
Not true.
I'll present this to your audience. In America, what did you guys think back in the days? Why were women always pressing their hair and wearing relaxers? Because that is what was considered beautiful.
All right, so yeah, we can talk about the past and how that's affected the future, but the bottom line here is majority of men today, black men to be specific, prefer seeing their women in natural hair. One thing I want to acknowledge is that this is a $1 billion industry at the end of the day, you know? So you're going to have to remember that you're going to have to be intentional as a woman to go against this sort of like capitalistic push, right? Because these people want you to go out and buy the weaves. They want you to keep your hair so that you're going back and buying these products. And it's not from our people, right?
And
the Asian community has a huge hold on this specific industry. $1 billion industry. That's a lot of women that's coming. That's a lot of money that's coming outside of the community and not back into our pockets, right?
Agreed.
At the end of the day, I feel like a lot of women would just do a huge things for themselves financially, saving money, if they went, you know, going and getting their hair done all the time with the weaves and everything else. But
I mean, like you said, it's a $1 billion industry, and I mean, I'm gonna do a tiny little shameless plug if that's okay. But you know, if we focus on our natural hair and you know, stay away from, you know, like you said, putting our money, not circulating in our community into theirs, you know, it's like what there's no benefit to yourself or your own community. So if you start focusing on your natural hair, caring for your natural hair, I mean, like, I have my own products as well that I do sell, and it's all about caring for the natural hair that grows out of your scalp. So, you know, oil your scalp, moisturize your scalp, and all of those things. And you will be surprised at what you can do. And then let that money circulate within our community, and we'll be rocking our afros.
Good stuff.
You know?
Before I leave, what do you guys think of the colorful hair? Like the, no?
It's a bit much. It's a bit much. The only time I would say colorful hair is acceptable is if it's in a creative setting. If I'm doing because before I used to do music and stuff.
You're gonna be a clown or something at a circus.
No.
I got
Say, for example, you're doing a photo shoot and you want to be like, oh, red background and da 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 da, you know, in that sense, but not outside of, like, say, magazine type work or video creativity. Outside of that. Yeah, black, brown, like those natural tones.
Yeah, I've seen some crazy stuff. Hey guys, I know Felicia has to take off here. Hey, if you guys enjoyed this video and want to do some amazing things for my channel, go ahead and hit that like button, man, and show your boys some love. Also, check out both of these ladies' channels. They are supporters of the, you know, I was going to say new movement. It's not a new movement. They're supporters of black men and black women building together, cooperating with one another. And you've seen both these women on previous videos. If you are subscribed to me and follow me, if you're not subscribed and have seen one or two videos, this is the time to subscribe. I'm going to be releasing more content in the future. Hey guys, my name is Chisha Zed. Until next time, we're out.